Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Happy New Year!
Hello, fellow Fox fans. How the devil are we? It is the penultimate show of 2020. So a quick Happy New Year there if you're going to start celebrating tomorrow. And why not? How are we feeling? I've got to be honest with you. I've got the rant out of my system. I was talking to Craig a bit just before we came live and it nearly set it off again. But, take a chill pill. I've chilled. I'm settled. You watching Leicester Till I Die TV? It's the preview show. Well, we drew with Man United. And we drew at the weekend, Monday night with Crystal Palace. Draws, they're like buses. You're waiting for months for one, then two come along at once. We've got away on Sunday, a short matter, well, not a short trip because we can't go, but a short matter of playing this lot on Sunday. Indeed it is, and it's back on Sky. So just to let you guys know, there we go, 3rd of January, St James's Park. It's a 2:15 kickoff, and it's live on Sky Sports. I'm going to bring my chat chum Craig in now, but we want to hear your views about the Newcastle game. Is Vardy back? Bloody hope so. And I'll tell you something, as you know, and I'll tell Craig this now, that if he always picks his probable team at the end. And I tell you what, if he puts Nacho in there, you're sacked, mate. Hello, Craig. How you doing?
I'm all right, Chris. Thank you very much. I don't want to give any clues away as to where I've managed to put the irreplaceable Nacho.
Hopefully in a skip somewhere outside of Dover. I've chipped him 20 quid for the taxi fare. But good evening, Matthew. How the devil are you, sir? Matthew, by the way, just to let you know, as I did say, this is the penultimate show of 2020. Mark, who usually does our sort of European and transfer shows, is at the moment indisposed with medical reasons, so he can't do the transfer show tomorrow. So we're giving Matthew the chance to shine, and we're going to see what he looks like. And if he comes with a Filbert Street tattoo across his forehead, I'll know he matches the pick. But he'll be joining us tomorrow at 7 for the transfer show. Ivan, good evening. This time Rogers will put the first team out. I think he's... Well, I don't know. For me, I was happy with the performance in the first half. If only we'd had a decent striker on there.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, it seems. Last time we spoke, I think it was just before Christmas, which just sounds ridiculous. And I always think I'm well prepared, and then as it happens, I'm always there. Just gone midnight, still wrapping presents, and then since then we've had two big games and 2 draws, and I think we controlled the game against Palace. It's just certain moments in games can change the game totally. We had the great chance, obviously, with the penalty that goes in. We get the reward for how well we played, and maybe Kelechi would have played with a bit more confidence. But over the 2 games, I think we didn't play too badly. And as Brendan said, you pick up draws where you can't win the game. So that was good against Man United. We showed a little bit of backbone there, which is something that I'd bemoaned to come back twice in that game. But I think overall Crystal Palace was disappointing. It was, we were pleased to get a point in the end after going behind, but we control that game, which was encouraging. But we just need to turn that possession into more chances and have a little bit more thrust up front.
Talking of control, I need to get control. I went off again on Inacho. Forgot to mention, of course, if you're watching us live, it's on YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. If it's on Periscope and Twitter, it's at Leicester TID. And Facebook, Leicester Till I Die group. Click on the StreamYard thing so we can actually say hello to you. And we can't say hello to Facebook users. I'm fed up with doing it every week. So just click on there. No download, no cost. And if you're watching us after, Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube, or catch up on the podcast, Spotify, Apple and Google, Leicester Till I Die. And hello to Stephen Collins, Uber F. I'm not sure what you mean by outside. Yeah. Yes, it's. I think he's obviously referring to a certain striker there. Yes, you did ask where we were going to put him, and I did have a suggestion, didn't I? But I think before, and we'll quickly move on from this. But one last question to ask you: Spurs, Man United, Palace, 5 points from the 3 games. Kind of, had we been offered that at the start of the season, before the start of the season, we'd have been offered that before kick-off against Spurs. Would we have taken 5 points from those 3 games?
Yeah, to be honest, I think we would. You'd have taken a point at Spurs. You'd have taken the point against Man U, probably, the way that they've been playing, especially away from home. And you'd have taken a Palace victory. So, and I think that's how we have to look at the season. It's really easy to get hung up on isolated results. But if you switch those results around, won the games where we expected to and lost the ones where we thought we would, Man City, etc., then we'd be really happy where we are. But that's the nature of being a football fan, isn't it? You always want a little bit more. You always think that you could have nicked another point here, another win there. But to be honest, most fans of every team can say that. If only we'd have done this, that and the other. At the end of it, we're sitting nicely. We're through in the Europa League, going into the new year. Things could have been a lot worse.
Yes, it could. And I'm in a group at the moment with we're trying to get one sort of fan from small like ourselves YouTube groups on Twitter. I was talking to them, and it's amazing. The Man United fan was actually being very honest, and he said, yes, our expectations are probably off the scale now because of what we have been through. And I think with ourselves, having won it, having got into the Champions League, having done well there, having qualified for Europe again, I think our expectations have probably gone up. But we've got, and we have to accept, I think, this season, we are losing games we should have won, but we're winning games we probably thought we'd lose. But doing this, as we do regularly, and we've got sort of 9 shows almost a week going out on here now, it is making me uber critical. It's almost like I don't want to be uber critical, but it's a case of talking points.
Yeah, of course it is. And you're becoming the sort of Alan Shearer or maybe more of a Martin Keown of Match of the Day.
I take Alan Shearer, but Martin Keown, You could be Robbie Savage then. Go on, if you're going to start that.
Oh, thanks. I'll take that. If you're accepting Keown, I'll take Robbie Savage all day long. But you do, you look at individual points of games, certain games within a season. It is all about talking points, and you do. The better you get, the more critical you become. I think it's a natural thing. And you and I, as we know that we've been around for a long time and watched a lot of games, and we can, or we should be able to sort of temper it a little bit and accept that we'd have taken fighting for top 6, top 4 most seasons with a pinch of salt. It was never going to happen. And but now the expectations are that we should be. God help us if we ever have a mid-table season.
This is the funny, and I'm just going to say quickly, bring that up again. Like I say, hello back to you. I've no idea who you are. Your Facebook. I'd call you all FUs, but that sounds like I'm being rude. But I did not this weekend. The weekend before, I did Talk Sport again on Sunday morning on the match show. And Max Rushton, who was on there, he was sort of saying that when Leicester won the Premier League, he was almost a case of, yeah, great, well done, lads. It's shaking things up. Now you're going to go back to where you were. And we kind of were for a couple of seasons. And he says, you're like the dog that won't let go of the bone. You've had a taste of it, and you're still up there, and when he said it like that, I kind of went, that's a good point.
Because, any team can have a freak season, and with the best will in the world, you look at that team that we put out on that pitch most days. It'd be interesting to see where that same team would be this season. I'm not sure it would be up and challenging, to be honest. So, yes, it's a freak season. What the people behind the scenes have done and should be given great credit for is building from that, not being stupid with it. They haven't gone out and tried to spend 80, 90, 100 million in sort of flagship signings. They've had a plan that they've stuck to. They've put the training ground in place to help bring players through. They've looked at buying and adding to the squad people who will bring you a profit when you sell on. As I think I mentioned last week, very much in the sort of Dortmund model. They buy young, develop them, sell them on for a profit, bring the next ones through. And so far, we've managed to do that. It's very difficult to say that we've missed any of the big name signings. Maybe Mahrez we haven't replaced as such, but Kante we replaced with Ndidi, Maguire we replaced with Soyuncu. So we've done that really well. We've sold for profit and we've brought in players of a similar, if not better standard. So that does bode well for the future.
It does. I was just trying to find the information and I can't. Jeff Peters put it up earlier on his Twitter and I copied it.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, and we are actually better off now than we were in the title winning season.
I'm going to say the one I saw was about the number of games that Brendan. Yeah,
102 points we had under Claudio, with a plus 13 goal difference, and we've got 108 points we've had under Brendan Rodgers with a plus 45.
Yeah, so I think that's it's after a set number of games that both managers have had, isn't it? That
yes,
we're on a better points total under Brendan than we are at Claudio. So I mean, I was going to say you can't knock what he's done, but obviously we can and we do. But that's because again, just raised expectations.
I tell you what, Stephen, I had therapy on the post-match show for 10, 15 minutes. I had a good old rant and got it out of my system. But moving on, and they say it's like riding a bike playing football, that you lose one, and if you any luck, there's another one coming along, unless it's an international break soon after. It's Newcastle, we're away, and obviously we do know that we are playing better away. Now, let me just get rid of that comment, and we can bring some bits of information up here. Now, you know, we've played them all in all, and I was surprised at this one. 127 times, we've only won 47. They've won 53. It's quite close, but I think we've caught them up over the past few seasons, because years ago they used to be a force to be reckoned with, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, we had a couple of defeats that you know, sort of stuck in the throat a little bit. I remember a 4-3 up there, I think, when we were winning, and Shearer pulled one out of the bag for a late winner. But we've had a few, you know, and yeah, you know, they're a big team. You know, they're a big team. We shouldn't forget that they're a big team, or maybe I should say a big club rather than a big team. And over the years, they've failed to achieve what their fans would like. I watched one of these Sky Sports games back, one of the classic matches, a couple of weeks ago. It was against when they beat Manchester United 5-0, I think it was. That was a proper game of football. That was old fashioned, you know, and it's not that long ago, to be honest. But there were tackles flying in everywhere. In modern refereeing, there'd have been at least a couple sent off. But they had a fantastic team in them days. You know, really played under Kevin Keegan with a lot of style, a lot of flair. And since then, they seem to have gone backwards. You know, under Mike Ashley, you know, you do talk about a lack of sort of investment from them, but you know, since Ashley's been in there, but you know, we didn't invest a lot in the team that won the league. It's all about having the right manager in place and the right coach to get the best out of the players that you've got. And since that Keegan team, which, as I said, was a fantastic team and almost pipped Man United to the title with a famous "I'd love it if we beat them" rant from Kevin. Yeah, they've struggled. They've just sort of been a bit of a yo-yo team, and they've never really got anywhere near even top half, you know, let alone Europe. So we do seem to have one over them. Hopefully,
can I just say there, Craig?
Continue.
Well done, sir. that was seamless. I don't think anybody noticed. I really don't.
It's like I'm a professional, isn't it?
I tell you what, it's getting slicker, this show. I can say, you know, it's almost like we rehearse it sometimes. But in that season, and I think I've read it somewhere that I know it's Keegan, but because they went out and bought Tino Estrella, if I remember, and it was bringing somebody like that you brought in that had to play that actually threw them off course a little bit, because it messed with the team.
It did. I mean, that team that beat Man United 5-0, I think they had Shearer, Ferdinand, Ginola, fantastic team, really full of flair. Albert at the back that scored that great chip. As you say, then they started almost getting a little bit ahead of themselves and started bringing in superstars, or people that they thought were superstars. And it sort of shifted the balance a little bit. I mean, I think it's important, you know, we do talk about, you know, bringing new players in, and I think it's important that we have done it gradually. You know, we've brought in one or two players, we've replaced where we've had to. We haven't padded the squad, bringing 5, 6, 7 in at a time, which shifts that balance. We bring them in, they get integrated into the squad, into the way of the club, you know, which helps with Morgan. And I think that's why Morgan and Fuchs are still at the club. You know, they offer that solidity, that sort of experience, along with Casper and Vardy, to bring new players into the sort of ethos of the club and what the club's all about, rather than throwing lots of players in to freshen it up. So, you know, hats off to the people behind the scenes. They've done a great job of keeping us as a well-rounded, you know, Premier League team that can challenge.
We did flirt, though, with buying superstars after we won the Premier League, and we saw what happened with that. I mean, how many of them are still at the club? I think possibly one, because we can't get rid of him. And of course, we're not forgetting under Martin Allen, he just went out and bought a whole new team when he took over. So you do have to get the buying policy right. But looking at us within the Premier League, We've played each other 26 times. Now, that is pretty even. 11 to Newcastle, 10 to us, and 5 draws. So it's not, like you say, it's although we're doing well and they're not, we are struggling. Last year, I mean, we shouldn't read too much into that because we did the double over Palace last season and they just got stuffed 7-0. But a 3-0 away, and having said that, we played both of those before lockdown. Maybe that had something to do with it. But a 3 and a 5-0 win there.
Yeah, maybe. I think, it's really important. We've seen the way the games have gone for us. Yes, we did come back from Manchester United. But, when we get a goal up, particularly against the lower teams, I think it's more important to get a goal up because the lower teams get a goal up and then they will sit back even more. And we know how difficult we've found it to break down teams like that. So the first goal is critical. The first goal against Palace, they would have had to come out a little bit more and it would have made more gaps for us. So I think it's this game in particular, I think we need to get that first goal so we can go on then and play our own football. Yeah.
Do you think this is Leicester, though? And it was so... I think had we got that first goal against Palace, having lost 7-0 or 7-1, whatever it was, they would have, I think, capitulated. They would have got the heads down if we'd got a goal really, really early on. But it's Leicester through and through, isn't it? We have been starting well over the past few seasons. We have been knocking the ball around like with Brazil. We haven't been scoring the goals. We've been having the shots, and it comes back and bites us on the big white arse, doesn't it?
It does. I would say that that game at the weekend was, a couple of days ago, was probably
Monday,
more like.
It counts as the weekend.
I know, I'm losing it. Reminded me a little bit of the Bournemouth game last season when we were totally in control of that game, and then we went on to lose it. So from that perspective, you could say that we've learnt from that. We've learnt that we need to roll our sleeves up, stay in the game, and we will get a reward because we believe in the players we've got. Whereas against Bournemouth, the goal went in, heads went down, and we looked like we could have shipped a goal every time they attacked. So I think it's about progression and dealing with different situations. And the more experience these players get, they can take that, and they've probably talked amongst themselves and said, if we go a goal down, this is how we do it. We believe in our football. We keep playing the football. And we've done it in a few games. We did it Braga away, getting that last-minute goal. We could have just pumped a high ball in, but we didn't. We kept to the ethos of playing the ball around, and we managed to get a goal. Doesn't always work, obviously, but I think we're learning and evolving as a team.
I mean, you like me. You said earlier we've both been around the block a few times, and I remember the Liverpool side of the sort of 70s and 80s, which was all domineering. There were, what Man United under Ferguson was recently. They were under Shankly and Paisley, etc. They never panicked. They went a goal down, or they weren't breaking them down. But it's easy for me to, and I suppose it's easy for fans to look at another team and say, yeah, Liverpool did well, and that's how they did, and they went on to win everything. When it's your own team, you're like, fucking hell, just score, will you? Just get that ball in the box,
It is frustrating, and particularly, and even in sometimes when you see Johnny Evans, I don't know whether Johnny Evans thinks he's going to end up getting a statue built of himself outside the ground, because the number of times he just stands there with his foot on the ball like Bobby Moore, and that statue outside of West Ham's ground. It just frustrates me to hell and back, I must admit. But apparently it's something that they work on to try and draw players out of position to actually close him down. But yeah, I would like them to see them get it forward a little bit quicker, I must admit.
Good evening, Andy. Yes, we have. You've missed it, mate. That was like 5 minutes ago. You've got to come in early. I know we are early tonight, but unfortunately, you have missed it. Let me ask you this then, Craig. I think obviously you're going to pick your team later in the show. For me, I think we're going to see a lot of what we would call regular first teamers coming back. Having played Man United on Boxing Day on the 26th, 2 days later It's almost it's worse than tournament football, because with tournament football, like the World Cup and the Euros, you get at least 3 days between the games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I looked at that team, and there was nothing that worried me about that team. Looking at those players, I've always thought, when you looked at the past, and we played Newport in the Cup or Millwall in the Cup, and 12's put out the B side, you're thinking like, oh God, we're gonna, this is the B team. But to all intents and purposes, 7 changes, that was almost the B team. But the players in there had earned the right, and there was nothing there that worried me. But do you think he did the right thing, making all those changes?
Well, I mean, if you remember back when I was trying to pick the team for the Man United team game and then the Crystal Palace one, I predicted that he would make 7 or 8 changes. I think I'd kept a couple of the back 4 and Casper in, and then virtually changed everyone else. So it's no surprise for me. I've seen on Facebook, lots of fans saying that he should have gone with the same team. And he shouldn't have made so many changes, or at least put the main players out, get ahead in the game, and then change it around. But I think it's very difficult, particularly with some of those players who'd had little niggly injuries. Castagna's only just come back. Vardy had a groin strain. I would have thought he would have loved to have not brought Vardy on at all during that game. Tielemans had looked quite a little bit tired. So I to be honest, those players were good enough to win that game. We showed that in the first half. So I think it's a hindsight thing that we didn't get the win, that people look in hindsight and say we should have done this, that and the other. But that team was good enough to play Crystal Palace off the park for 45 minutes. We just didn't get the goal that our play.
We know Amarty's come in and done well. We know Mendy's come in and done well. Perez to me in that game he was looking up for it. He was running at, he was at least trying. There were players that had proved themselves, and a manager very much you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And had he gone for the same players and had Vardy pulled a muscle again, had Amarty or Castagna, if he got a reoccurrence of their injuries, would have been sat here bemoaning him and saying, what the bloody hell are you doing picking that team? So he was never going to win, unless obviously we'd gone out and 4 or 5-0 and would have said sort of what a great tactician he is. But we're all managers, aren't we? But the form guide here. Leicester, that is, like I said at the start, you don't get a draw all season, and like buses 2 come along at once. Newcastle, not bad, really. I mean, okay, they lost to Man City. That. I mean, I know we beat them, but that's nothing to be ashamed of. They drew with Fulham. Yeah, let's keep quiet about that. They lost to Leeds. That's probably the one bad result. They managed to beat West Brom, and then they managed to beat Palace, something we didn't do. We can't take this one for granted, can we?
I don't think you can take any Premier League game for granted these days on any given day, and also VAR's involved as well. The refereeing this year, without getting on another rant, the refereeing has been, shall we say, inconsistent. VAR decisions have been inconsistent, so there's that to throw in the mix. You can play fantastically well, but then a VAR decision goes against you, a ridiculous one at either end, and it can shift the game. I would think, from what I've seen of Newcastle, a couple of their better results have included a couple of controversial penalties, shall we say. So I don't think they are actually, playing particularly well and taking teams apart. Saint-Maximin is a danger, but again, I'm not sure whether he'll be back and fit. He's missed the last few games. Callum Wilson's been in and out. I don't think he played in the last game, but he probably damaged himself from that really, really heavy tackle that he took to win the penalty in the game before, if there was any contact at all. Maybe it's just when he hit the ground, he hurt himself. But I don't think they're a great team, to be honest. And if we put our strong team out, which we should after a 5-day break, we should have enough to beat them.
We've got to remember that as well. We actually have got a longer break than Newcastle, because Newcastle are playing tomorrow night, and it's a small matter of they are playing Liverpool. So in a way, there shouldn't be sort of any excuses. And thank you for the mention of the VAR. Again, leads me very nicely into a nice link here, because we are starting a new show in January. It's going to be a monthly show, and we are going to be non-Leicester City. So it's going to be general football talk. We're going to have 3 or 4 fans on from different clubs. We've got Man United, Arsenal, Spurs, Fulham, West Ham, all agreeing to come on at different times. It's going to be a bit of a mix, and we're going to be looking at non-Leicester City, but general football chat. So that's VAR is probably going to be the first one. Have a chat with that. So that's coming up in January. So keep a lookout for that. Well said, Craig. You linked me into that very, very well. Thank you for that. And we're going to be back with a look at a few more comments straight after this.
Hi, Alan Smith here. Be sure to watch and listen to Chris on Leicester Till I Die TV. You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels. Up the Foxes!
I tell you what, we could do with him now, couldn't we, really? Let's be honest,
We could.
you know.
We could. But that was the days when teams used to play 2 up front. There's not many of them around anymore. And, what I would say, in one word in Iheanacho's defence, I would think that he's a better striker in a 2 than a 1. And then let's just move on from that.
Well, you say move on. I'm just going to bring up a couple of comments. To that, I would very quickly say, is that because the other striker's making him look good and he's not? Are we talking like a Kante Drinkwater, where one makes the other one look better than they actually are? Let's just have a look here. Apart from Nacho, that team was capable of beating Palace, as you said. Somebody posted me the stats of all Brighton, and they were terrible. Nacho had a bad game, but he gives 100%. Does he? Does he really give 100%? Because I tell you something, every time I look at him, he's lounging about and wandering up and down the pitch. I don't think he gives 100%. I think we're lucky if he gives 10%. Perez, when he was playing, and Perez has been up and down, he was running and fighting for every ball. Nacho, I'm sorry, no, he doesn't give 100% at all. That's just I'm sorry, but that is bollocks. In my humble opinion, and with all respect to the gentleman that posted it, I obviously respect your opinion, but I disagree with you 100% on that one. Is it just me, or do we pause slightly to celebrate goals with VAR? I think we do. I think we do. You look at the Maddison strike, which was a shaved hair leg from being onside. I think you score, and you do. You don't want to look a fool, do you?
No, I think we're becoming a little bit used to it now, and because it's happening so often that a goal goes in and you do just wait. It's almost like a long, like you used to look across at the linesman's flag. Now you just sit and wait for a VAR decision. But I think it would be worse if we were in the grounds. I think the frustration there would be even worse than just sitting watching it on TV, to be honest. But it is frustrating, and you do wait.
Yeah, Facebook user. I got told. It's about opinions. I don't know. You haven't got your name on there, so I don't know who you are. But like I say, I respect your opinion. I told everybody. This is a football forum. We're like ourselves. Opinions are like ourselves. We've all got one. I tend to speak out of mine quite a lot, to be honest with you. Yes, I do disagree with you on that point, but I respect your opinion, and you're right. You're right to have it. Right, moving on from Nacho. Let's try and move on a little bit now. Looking at that form table, I think are we still second? I mean, I did this a couple of days ago. Newcastle are 14th at the moment. But I tell you what, that table, when you look at it, Chelsea lost, and that was a surprise, losing to Arsenal. There's results in there that you just don't expect. You can go, as Spurs have showed in the last few games, lose a couple, you can drop right down. Win a couple, you're right back up there.
Yeah, I think they mentioned it yesterday on the coverage, that I think it was 7 points, maybe even less, between either first and 11th or second and 11th, where we are. I think it's it changes all the time, and as we said, we've said before, teams are going to go up and down. You're going to have a couple of good results and you're going to have a couple of bad ones, and teams come in and out. Everton have done it. Everton, obviously their game was off last night because of Man City. They would have gone back into second, I think, if they'd have taken at least a point. They dropped off the pace, and then they came back. The manager shuffled it around a bit. He's got a settled team, and they've come back pretty strong. And it's about sort of holding your nerve a little bit if you do go on a run of 2 or 3 games. Lampard was talking about it last night that they'd done the same, but he decided to shuffle his pack a little bit, and they got the win. But they look very ordinary against Arsenal. But I think you're going to have that this season, particularly around now with the number of games. I think it'll settle down a bit during January. That'll probably be a bit more of a settling period because the European games don't come back until February. So January is probably going to be a little bit normal. Obviously, you've got a couple of cup games in there, but I think by the end of January, you might see a little bit of settling.
I like your confidence there. You got a couple of cup games. You're confident that we're gonna beat Stoke, but we'll come on to that. We'll come on to that next week. Actually, I'm just looking there. We're actually still second on goal difference. We've got 29 points. Everton have got 29. United have got 27. I mean, Tottenham have gone from first right the way down to 7th. The problem is that you look at the tables now and you say, yeah, we're second, aren't we doing well, blah, blah, blah. But, the teams behind us have got games in hand on us.
Yeah.
So
I know the likes of Villa, I think, have got a couple of games in hand, haven't they?
Yeah.
The thing is, though, they've got to fit them in.
Table.
Yeah, it is indeed, Chris. But teams are talking, clubs are talking about the number of games that they're having to fit in. This just means they've got more games to fit in. So they're going to have less time between games, and with Cup coming up now as well, that's not going to make it easy. So at some point they've got to play them, and I'd rather have points on the board, to be honest.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. You preempted me there, and I think we've always got to say for the fact that we want the points on the board. And the thing is, these matches, they're going to be back to the position where they're playing 2, possibly even 3 a week to try and fit them all in, especially sort of if you're talking about clubs like Chelsea's, Arsenal, Spurs, who have got European games as well. Yeah. Could work in our favour. And it's time. Oh, let me just quickly tell you, for those of you that are interested, it's Brighton 0, Arsenal 0. I've always wanted to do this, Burnley 1, Sheffield United 0, Southampton 0, West Ham 0, West Brom 0, Leeds United 4. Another thing ticked off my list, reading out the results. But Leeds.
Can you just read that last one again?
Yeah, West Bromwich Albion 0, Leeds United 4.
Oh, what a shame for Big Sam. Him and his purist football ways. It's an absolute. I'm tearing up here.
I mean, West Brom have obviously, felt he's worth the money that they paid to get him in and pay off Slavan for the point they got to Liverpool. Which, I'll be honest with you, I used to like Big Sam. I didn't like him after his little England episode, but I just think the sacking of Bilic at that point was just totally serious. Talking of managers, it leads me very nicely on to you putting on Brendan's underwear again, because you've still got his shoes on.
It used to be his shoes, now it's his underwear, yeah?
Yes, okay. I think we should go for the underwear. We have a small matter of the formation and lineup. And like I always say, that isn't your formation and lineup. That is just a graphic. I have to say that every time. But Brendan made 7 changes. Are you going to make 7 changes back? Who are you going to predict is going to be in that starting lineup for the Newcastle game?
For January, and with the players coming back, I think we're getting as close to a settled lineup as we've been all season, to be honest. Not having to play 2 games in a week until European football comes back. With players coming back, I think if everybody's fit, I think most people could name the team at the minute. because we seem to have settled on something that works. The 4-1-4-1 seems to be working pretty well. The players within it all know their job and what they've got to do. And I think from that perspective, I think we're in a good place. The only bit I think he needs to sort out a little bit is going to be that centre half pairing in a 4 as to where he goes. Now Soyuncu looks like he's back.
I mean, did we have, remind me, because my mind's in, but when we went from the Spurs game to Man United, it was the same team. He never made any changes, and that was the first time in the whole season. But well, let me guess. Have you started by chance with Casper in? Sorry, Andy. I'm going to have to bring this up, mate. And I said I was going to move on, but Craig knows his contract is up for renewal in the new year, and if Nacho gets in that first team, he is out. Craig is gone, and I'll be looking for another preview buddy. We started with Casper.
No pressure from the boardroom, then.
Yeah, no, none at all, none at all. You've got to. I'm like the BBC. I'm getting rid of all the old regulars and bringing new people. No, seriously, joking aside, are we starting with Casper?
We are. If his wrist is okay after that shot he saved against from Rashford. I think everybody went a little bit over the top. It was a great save, you know, and I think it says more about the strength of his wrist than the quality of his goalkeeping. It was a great save. You know, I think Robbie Savage. I think Robbie Savage called it the save of the season, which I think was a little bit much. But no, Casper's in goal.
Good save, but yes. Moving quickly on before any comments come up. So we're going for a back 4.
Yeah. So in the continued absence of Ricardo, it's JJ at right back, and I think a few people have said this now. You know, JJ has probably been the most consistent player we've had all season. I think he's done a fantastic job. He's played 3 different positions already. You know, he's dropped into a centre half as part of a 3, and he's played both fullback positions. And he rarely lets you down. You'll get the odd mistake with him, but he rarely lets you down in terms of his commitment and his will to win and his desire to try and get forward. I think he's been a fantastic signing.
Do you think
so? JJ and then
sorry, just to say with Fofana as well. Do you think both for JJ and Fofana, it's a bit almost like throwing the baby into the swimming pool, sink or swim, and both of them have proved they've come through.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, if you're right, it's a good analogy that you've got to play them so they stand or fall. Not every player can do that, and I would say that says a lot for the current recruitment. That you know, they're 2 players who are fairly new to the club that they've picked up, and they've put them straight in, and they've looked like they've been playing at least a couple of seasons. So again, we're doing our due diligence in terms of recruitment, bringing players in who could slot in if needed, and they've done great for us. But JJ's been great, and you know, every team I think needs one of those players who can fill in, and it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if he makes one of Southgate's teams, because you know we haven't got that kind of player at England. I think. I mean, he plays Kieran Trippier on the left hand side, but he won't be playing for a while. So JJ might have a chance. You never know.
Never know. Would it not be funny if you dropped Chilwell and put JJ in there?
It would be, but I mean, there's part of me thinks, you know, leave all our players out of the England squad, and you know, it's better for us, and makes them hungry to try and force their way in.
And no injuries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we've got Casper in goal, JJ at right back.
Yeah, Castagno at left back.
Yeah.
Now this this centre half pairing is the only one where I'm not sure which way he's going to go. I think he'll choose this game to bring Soyuncu back, and I think he'll play him alongside Evans. I think the dream going forward would be to play Fofana and Soyuncu, but I think they both need work their way back in. And I think that I'm not a big fan of Johnny Evans. I mean, everybody's sort of, not everybody, but they rave about him. The pundits seem to love him, but he's been at fault for 2 or 3 goals for my liking. The goal that Cavani, where Cavani slipped it through for Fernandes, for me, Evans went towards the ball where he should have been filling in a cross, you know, and that left the gap. So I don't think he's been as great as he is, but I think with Caglar coming back, who can be a little bit hot-headed, and you don't know how he's going to be on his first game back, I think he's more likely to go for the experience alongside either Fofana or Caglar. I don't think he'd play Amati again. I think he was sort of forced into that. I think he'll ease him back as well. So I'm going to go Evans and Soyuncu.
I'm just thinking that obviously Fofana didn't make an appearance against Crystal Palace, and maybe he was resting him for this game. But like you say, he may well be easing Soyuncu back in, and he might only get 45, 50 minutes and swapping round, which he's done in the past. He's brought players back. He's not rushed them back. And when he brought them back in, Maddison is the case in point. When he brings them back in, he does ease them in, doesn't he? He gives them 45, 50, 60 minutes. And for me, it's the right way to go. So I can see you thinking there. I can see you thinking.
Yeah. And then Ndidi is the one.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in front of them. And I think he's going to go with Albrighton, Maddison, Tielemans and Barnes as the 4.
What is your thought on Albrighton? Because the gentleman before picked it up here. He's saying Albrighton stats not good.
Yeah, I don't think it was one of his better games, to be honest. I expected him to play that game and not the Man United game, but he had a really good game against Manchester United, and he does do a job, you know. And if you're looking for the creativity to come from somewhere else, and we know that JJ does like to get forward a lot, you've got to have someone who's got at least a bit of a defensive mind. For me, I think that when Ricardo's back, I think there's every chance that JJ may be pushed forward into that right midfield slot, because those two could dovetail very nicely together, because they both want to get forward, but they both know how to defend as well. And I think that could be a very strong pairing.
Yeah, I mean, I love all. I mean, you've got to love Albrighton. I mean, you know, the guy is up there with Vardy. He's a hero, because of course everybody was in that team. But you know, looking where he came from, looking what we paid for him, looking what he's done. I mean, Albrighton's the sort of player for me. When Vardy's playing, you need Albrighton or somebody like that that's going to get the quick balls in. With I've got to mention his name again. Without Nacho playing, he doesn't go for those sort of balls that Vardy does, which may be why Albrighton, playing a slightly different game because of that, didn't shine. Because you look at Albrighton and you look at the crosses that he puts in. Tielemans. Yeah, a bit tired, but he came back. And Barnes, we would be struck at his goals this season, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's done well. I was a little bit unsure about him, his consistency. But the last couple of games, I've got to say, he's been involved a lot more, and he's looked to be positive. He's still frustrating, I think, but I think that does come with most wingers. You know, Mahrez was fantastic for us, but he could still be frustrating in equal measure. So I think it does come. I think it comes with the territory with a winger. But as you say, he is a danger at the minute, and I think, as I say, he's earned the right to hold down that spot at the moment.
Yeah. And I am going to say here, and I'm going to quote a well-known saying again, as well as reading the football results out. It's maybe been my dream to say this on telly. Are we going to say, can we have a pee, please, Bob? Are we looking at Perez in there?
No, I think I mean Vardy's up front.
No, you've ruined it now. You've ruined it. If you'd have picked Perez, that would have been brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's Vardy. For me, as I say, apart from, you know, that centre-half pairing, that I think he needs to sort of, over the next couple of games, decide which is the best pairing. And Albrighton on that right-hand side. I think the rest of it is a pretty solid and settled team. And if we can get a run of games with an unchanged team and get some results, I think it bodes very well that he can then start to just tinker one or two players here and there without wholesale changes. But that looks a strong team to me.
Can I just say that I should have been using that, because when I did I got carried away with how clever I was at being able to say, can I have a P, please, Bob? And I was actually playing 12 players rather than 11, thinking that we were going to have just off.
I did wonder that, Chris, but I was going to let that slide.
Yeah, you're thinking, like, hang on, you've moaned about Nacho and you want Vardy back, and now you're dropping him for Perez. Now, let's be honest with you, having 12 players on the pitch would be very, very good. But yes, I need to do my maths. I think maths was never my strong point. But then again, North football. So what's new there? Like you say, I tend to talk out of the wrong hole more often than not. I think that is a strong. Looking at that, I mean, it's probably almost our strongest team. I think if I had to pick a first 11 that I would pick week in, week out, that formation is definitely, I think, the best formation. I probably long term would have Fofana in place of Evans, and probably under with Albrighton, because I think Albrighton, you can't. It's a bit like Vardy. We've got to keep hold of him, because again, 10 minutes to go. He's got that pace, but he's not going to always have that pace for 90 minutes. But certainly for the next game, I think is he injured? Does anybody know?
He had a bit of a hamstring strain, so that's why he kept him back. You know, it wouldn't surprise me that if he chooses this game to give him a start. To be honest, if he's fully fit, wouldn't surprise me at all.
No. Do you have Mr. I on the bench?
Well, I do, but because I'm frustrated, for me, Slimani would be on the bench. I don't understand what's going on there. Maybe there was a move lined up in January. He had him on the bench and he brought him on for one game. He didn't really get much time to do anything. But I think if you're looking at players who want to play facing the goal, Slimani is more of that player and more of a Jamie type, because he will get on the end of crosses. He wants to be facing goal. Iheanacho's a back to goal, back to goal player for me. So you have to play a different kind of football. You have to play into his feet, and that's why I think, you know, he is better as someone who plays as a two, so he can play off someone else rather than being the main man. He doesn't like. For me, he doesn't seem to like wanting to run in behind too much.
For me, Nacho should be back in the dressing room sort of player, but at the moment, but there we go. I mean, yes, he did say about Slimani. He said at the start, he's got he's got a chance to make still have something maybe at Leicester. And he's been in the one game, and he came, he's not been in the squad and he had 10 minutes on, but he does offer us something. I know, you can't say, people will turn around and say, well, Slimani's rubbish, what did he do, blah, blah, blah. He could get in there with his head. He got most of his goals with his head, which was an option we don't really have. But is he going to be any worse than Nacho? No, he's not. I'm sorry. Maybe he might not be any better, but he's not going to be any worse. But Matthew said John is brilliant, in my opinion, next to these young lads. You're not going to sell him in January then, Matthew. We'll find that out tomorrow. Andy here, a question for you, Craig. Would Ricky P make a good winger? Has he played that role a bit, hasn't he?
Well, he has a couple of times, and I think Ricardo in pairing him up with JJ, I think they would be a really interesting option. For me, I would probably play JJ higher up the pitch than Ricardo, particularly if you're easing him back a little bit. And I think JJ's shown that he can deliver a ball. Some of his delivery has been fantastic in his first time delivery, and I think he probably edges Ricardo on that stat.
And they can interchange as well. At least if they're on that same side, one goes forward, the other drops back. It's almost an ideal pairing, isn't it? Really,
exactly. I think they could dovetail really nicely.
Very quickly, because we are coming to the end, Stephen asked, what do you guys think of Pratt? Personally, I like him. I think he offers a lot to the team. He's a Belgium international. We know he can do it. He hasn't had the game time perhaps that he should have done, but maybe that's, because of the form of other players out there. We know that. But yeah, as long as he's happy to kind of stay in the squad, I think he's an excellent member of the squad.
No, I really like him. I think he's a really good player. It's just knowing where he fits at the minute.
Yeah.
If everybody was playing at the top of the game, then you know that Madison and Yuri are a great central pairing. So would you play him above either of those? I don't think you would. Would you play him above Ndidi? I don't think you would. So I'm not sure. I think he's one of those classic guys that you can rely on. That if you have to bring him on during a game or throw him in for a game, he'll do you a good job. I think he may end up getting a little bit.
When we did use him, we didn't let him down at all, did he?
No, I just wonder whether he'll start getting a bit frustrated that he's not getting enough game time when you have the run up to the Euros. That he wants to make sure that he's in that squad. So it'll be interesting one to watch.
But again, like we said earlier, come January, FA Cup, if we get past out, there's a couple of games there. February, we're back in the Europa League. Hopefully we can progress there. We've got minimum of 2 games, no matter what happens. So there are options for him to start when you're talking about having to rest. And we are going to have to rest players. But no, there we go. Right, it is time for CCM, Craig's classic match. So we're looking at Newcastle versus Leicester City. And to be honest, sometimes I've trod on Craig's toes and kind of not knowingly given it away in advance. But I have absolutely no idea. Excited might be a little bit too far, but I'm interested to see what game you're going to go for, Craig.
Well, I'm a football fan at the end of the day, and a classic match is a classic match, whether we come out on top or we don't. And I've actually gone for one that I remember very well because I was there. That was a horrendous game for us, but it was a great event, shall I say, to be part of. And it was 9th of May back in 1993. Up at St James's Park, and we actually got stuffed 7-1.
Oh,
now, Now that's not a classic match from a Leicester's fan point of view, and I will remind you, I saw us get beat 7-1 that season twice because we had Sheff Wednesday away in a cup game, and we got done 7-1 as well. Not a great season. But Newcastle had a great team. They were champions elect, basically. They were getting the trophy at the end of that game. They were rebuilding the big stand that's behind the goal now, where if Leicester fan, anybody's been there, that little corner about halfway up Everest that the away fans have put. They were building that stand. So that stand basically wasn't there. They had a stage erected behind the goal. They had Lindisfarne playing before the game, giving it the old fog on the tyne and God knows what. It was just a fantastic atmosphere. Leicester fans played their part in that as well. The Leicester fans that were there that day were fantastic. We got an absolute hammering. Andy Cole got 3 goals. The old David Kelly, he got 3 goals, and Rob Lee. They had a really good team that day, and we just played our part in the game. To be honest, the game was over pretty early on. To be honest, but most Leicester fans stayed, and they got the trophy at the end. They paraded it round, and we got a really good reception off the Newcastle fans for the fact that we took it all in good heart, and we clapped them around, and it was a really good game. It's just a shame that the result got in the way.
Was you may have mentioned this before, and I'm lucky if I can remember what I did 10 minutes ago, let alone an hour ago. Was KK the manager then?
Yes, I think he was. I think he was, to be honest. I'm not totally sure, but I think it was. It was the start of his reign. And
Yeah.
a couple of questions to throw out, obviously, on the back of that. And Newcastle got promoted, won the championship. They went on the following season to finish third in the Premier League. So that tells you what a team they had.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. Can you tell me who scored the 1 in the 7-1? And can you remember how that season ended for us?
And what year was it again? Remind me of the year.
1993.
1993. I'm going to ask anybody that's watching if they know, because I am struggling. 1993. It wasn't a little Canadian, was it? That scored for us.
Exactly right, Chris. It wasn't a little Canadian.
No, no. Oh, God, I can cut you off, you know. I can do that. See you, Craig. All the best, mate. You think you're being clever? There we go. No, that. So, who scored the 1 for Leicester in the 7-1 drubbing? And how did the season finish for us?
Yeah.
Did we? And okay, I got the striker wrong there. Who got the goal? 1993.
Who did you think it was? Sorry, who did you think it was? Which little Canadian did you think it was?
I thought it was Ian Hume.
Okay, yep. No.
And I know he was the 90s, wasn't he? But other than that, I could list a load of players off. Did we? We didn't finish in the play. Did we finish in the playoffs?
That's basically my question to you, Chris.
Yes,
I don't think it works on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You know, is that the right answer?
Excuse me.
Is that the right answer, Jeremy? Before I get it,
I'm just going to phone a friend. Brendan, hello, mate. How are you doing? Can you help me here? Okay, I'll say we finished in the playoffs.
okay. And then what happened then? How did the season finish? If you think we finished in the playoffs, how did the season finish?
Well, we didn't. 93. Was that the Swindon final?
Are you telling me, or are you just asking again, Chris?
I'm fishing here. You can see. Okay, let's say finishing the playoffs. We played Swindon and we lost to Swindon.
I'm going to say that is correct. Well done. We did indeed. We finished 6th. Swindon finished 5th, and we got beaten 4-3 in that amazing final. It's still one of the best games I've been to, even though we lost.
Can I just say, I would like to thank Harry Pierpoint for his unknown help there, because I'm just reading his book at the moment, and I've just got to the point of around that time of literally just done the 4-3, the game that Brian Little gets fed up with being asked about. But who scored the goal? Go on then, tell me who scored the goal. Was it? I'm going to go. Let's say Steve Walsh. Was it Steve? No.
It was Steve Walsh.
Yes. Oh, come on. Hey, I'm quitting now. I'm not answering any more questions. I get it right. Let's have a look. We're going to go a couple more things. We'll just do this. I'm going to go off and have a run around the garden, put my shirt over my head and celebrate. We'll be back right after this.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chums. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Now available on Spotify.
Right, I'm conscious of the time for you because I know you wanted to be a bit earlier today. But as we do again, it's not a video; it's a picture this time. But foot in both camps, and we have 5 there. And I don't know if you can see that very well. Can you see that at all?
It looks like Nobby Solano.
Indeed, it is. Yes.
Or Perez, Ferdinand, Steve Guppy.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Is that Keith Gillespie, the last one?
It is. It is Keith Gillespie. Yes.
Yeah.
See, I make it easier for you, don't I? You see, you get something to look at. I mean, obviously there are more, but I love doing that because I never realised Steve Guppy had played for Newcastle.
No, I didn't. I used to love Steve Guppy, one of my favourite players.
He should have. I think he played once for England or something. He was. Oh, here we go. There was 30,129 in the ground, and you were one of them. You were 30,128.
So basically, next time I'll ask you the attendance, Chris.
Only if Andy can talk to me on the side. He'll be my phone a friend, But I haven't got the predictions in yet because we've only just finished playing. I'm going to give the two Steves and Ian a bit of a break, but it is that time. I don't know why I asked you. I'm just going to go for 3-1 for you, but score predictions. What are you going to go for?
Yeah, I'm going to switch it around a little bit this time. Because we're away, I'm going to go 1-3.
Right. There's always... I've just got that. That. You haven't been right once, though. Can I just say, I don't think you've been spot on once with this 3-1 prediction. But like I say, the idea is you're just going to go for it every week, knowing that one week it's got to come up by the laws of average. I've gone 2-1, so to us, or 1-2, I should say. We've always look that we can concede a goal. I think that's the problem with us. But I think we'll have too much for them if Vardy is back and he doesn't play our friend. Craig, it's been a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much. My pleasure, Chris, and thanks to everyone again.
Yeah, thanks for coming, and I hope you have a new year. I won't be seeing you now till the new year. Andy Medhurst has gone 0-3. He's going a bit between the pair of us. It'll be New Year when I next see you. So have a tremendous New Year. We'll be previewing the Stoke game, and I can think of an unmemorable game when we played Stoke straight away. But yes, I think we all know which one that is. But Craig, mate, thanks for everything you've done this year. You have been amazing. You are the knowledgeable one here amongst us, and have a great new year.
Same for you, Chris, and the same to everybody who's watching. Have a great new year. Stay safe but enjoy yourself.
And hopefully by the new year, I'll have got rid of that fly that keeps dive bombing me at the moment. And I won't say it will be see you next Tuesday, but it'll be sort of see you next year as well. Thanks very much, Craig. Take care, bud.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, I thought I got it then. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to go off and do a bit of a fly catcher moment because it is never a Venus flytrap when you need one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your comments. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, with new boy Matthew. 7 o'clock, we will be looking at the transfer window, which opens in a few days' time, starting with a special, because we're going to be looking at who might be going out. Who do you think we should sell? Who do you think is surplus to requirements? I can keep it a secret as to who I think is. You might guess, but we'll find out tomorrow, 7 o'clock with Matthew. Be nice, guys, then, because it's his first time. I'm sure he might be a little bit nervous. He's like me, shy, unassuming, retiring. Doesn't have an awful lot to say for himself. Yeah, right, okay, whatever. But no, and then on Friday, when you've all sort of hopefully recovered from the New Year's festivities, Friday at 7 o'clock, it is the opposition view, and we've got a Geordie joining us to have a chat with us about the upcoming game. So I need to go and get onto Amazon and order a Geordie English translation book. Hopefully he's not watching in because he'll kill me for saying that. But hey, wish you all, if I don't see you tomorrow night, wish you all a very, very, very happy new year. Whatever you do, don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy. Don't drink too much. Have a good time and enjoy yourselves, but mostly stay safe. See you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. If not, have a very, very, very happy new year. Goodbye, everybody.
Hi, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Happy New Year. Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Shut up and sit down.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.